All right, back on Political Connections, and we are approaching 1 month since lawmakers in Tallahassee ended their 60-day legislative session without passing a budget, but it's got to be done, right? The question, though, is when? Joining me now to talk about all of that, State Representative Leonard Spencer. We appreciate you for being here. You represent District 45 in West Orange County. Ready to dive into this conversation.
Ready to jump in, and always a pleasure to be here with you. Thanks so much for
I think the last time I saw you, you were on the we were on the campaign trail. So.
yes, it was. It seems like just yesterday, but it was so long ago.
I know, right? It was. So maybe the first question needs to be, why couldn't we get a budget done in 60 days? You know, a lot of people want to know about, hey, this should have been done. Now the second year in a row, it couldn't be done.
You know, that's a great question. And, I think about why I was elected and why the folks in House District 45 sent me to Tallahassee. And they sent me to Tallahassee along with my colleagues in the legislature to make life better for them, right? That is what our jobs are fundamentally as legislators. And when I think about the fact that we didn't pass a budget, that tells me that we're not focused, right? And what's interesting is that past President Don Gates talked about it, and he said, this process is embarrassing, right? And so for me, I think about the legislation that I put forward. The affordability is what everybody is telling me. We have an affordability crisis in Florida right now. And I put forward legislation to start to address it. As a matter of fact, the Democratic caucus put forward legislation to address it. We're ready to work across the aisle. I'm ready to work across the aisle to make sure that folks are having the ability to pay less for their homeowners insurance, to make sure that folks have rising wages, making sure that our seniors, our folks who are working hard every day have the money that it takes in order to take care of their families. Those are the big problems that folks are sending us to Tallahassee to address. They don't want us focused on partisan issues that are going to be Instagram tweets and memes, right? They want us focused on these big problems to make life better for them. And that's what I'm committed to do. That's what the Democratic caucus is committed to do. And hopefully we can find partners on the other side of the aisle who can do that as well.
And it does seem like when you talk about middle of the road issues, people working across the aisle, affordability seems to be one thing that both Democrats and Republicans can agree on.
100%.
That there is an affordability issue. But I want to ask you this here. So is 60 days realistically enough time to pass legislation for a budget?
Look, historically, it's been enough time. It's been more than enough time for us to be able to pass a budget and work on big issues that address the needs of our constituents. And so all of a sudden, we've gotten into this area where, for the past two sessions, we're not focused when we're in Tallahassee. We're focused on these other issues. I want us to get back to the issues that matter, the issues that our constituents need us and want us to address. When we talk about homeowners insurance, right? Homeowners insurance, we're still near the top of all 50 states in what Floridians pay for homeowners insurance. And yet we're getting distracted, focused on other issues, right? We've got rising gas prices. We've got rising grocery prices. Folks need relief. Our seniors need relief. Our working families need relief. And for me, affordability is the number one issue that we should be addressing, along with our constitutional responsibility, which is to pass a balanced budget.
You're right about those grocery prices. Families definitely needing that relief. I got 4 boys at home, and those grocery prices are through the roof.
I can't imagine. 4 boys, yes, indeed.
Look, I'm telling you, it's a real thing.
It's a thing, for sure.
It is. So we know that Governor Ron DeSantis has already called for a special session to tackle congressional redistricting for the week of April 20th. That's already on the books. We know that. Does it make sense at this point to tack on the topic of that agenda for the same week, would you say, or do the logistics of committee meetings and floor sessions basically keep 1 week special session tied just to one specific issue?
Listen, I'll tell you, we have a Republican governor and a Republican-led legislature, and for me, when we talk about redistricting, number one, it's illegal. In 2010, the voters of the state of Florida passed a constitutional amendment that said gerrymandering in our state for the benefit of a political party is illegal. And here we are in the midst of this affordability crisis, in the midst of not passing a budget, we're going back to Tallahassee to talk about redistricting. I can tell you that this was not on the bingo card for anybody in my district when they talk about priorities that we need to be focused on in the legislature. They want us focused on affordability, making their lives better, and redistricting does not do that. What redistricting does is it allows politicians to select who is going to represent the people. That is not what the people of Florida put into our constitutional amendment in 2010. And so regardless as to how the governor, how they try to reframe this, we know that President Trump wants Republican-led states across the United States to gerrymander districts to favor Republicans. And in the state of Florida, I remind everyone, that is illegal.
I want to ask you this real quick. The governor has also hinted about having a special session. This is to address medical freedom, for example, getting rid of vaccine mandates. Is that the right way forward for the state of Florida?
Listen, what I can tell you is, we've seen outbreaks of measles, things that, for years we've not seen in our state, right? And so, when we think about these political issues that are designed to, emote people to get out and vote in a certain way, that's not necessarily what the folks in our state want or need. As I go back, every time I have a conversation with someone in my district, they want to understand, what are we doing to make life better for them? What are we doing to address the affordability issue? How are we reducing property taxes? How are we making, gas more affordable? These are things that we as a legislature could be addressing. Why don't we think about how do we, reduce the gas tax for a period of time while we're focused on all the issues that we have with gas prices today? We could be doing that as a legislature rather than focused on these partisan issues that don't benefit the majority of Floridians.
All right, State Representative, we appreciate you, Leonard Spencer, District 45 in Winter Garden. Thank you so much for coming in and chatting with us.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor of my lifetime to represent the folks in House District 45, and it's always a pleasure to sit down and have a conversation with you.
All right.